As usual, the first part of the program will be notable updates on developments on the Eastern European battlefield, first in the Bakhmut area, Donetsk Oblast, eastern Ukraine. And a recent report, British intelligence said that Russian reservists were ordered to attack a Ukrainian defense post with guns and shovels. According to the British Ministry of Defense, these shovels are most likely MPL 50, designed in 1869, about 50 centimeters long, with a light wooden handle and heavy blade, 15 centimeters wide. This tool can be used to dig fortifications or duel. British intelligence claims this is evidence that Russian forces are changing tactics in Bakhmut. They increased melee combat when there was a severe shortage of ammunition. Russia has not yet responded to this information. Evacuations from the embattled city of Bakhmut have significantly slowed as Ukrainian troops are struggling to reach trapped residents. Speaking to CNN, the area's deputy mayor said 5 to 10 people were being taken out of the city each day, down from the roughly 600 who were leaving during the peak of evacuations. There are air raids, artillery shelling, mortar shelling. The enemy is striking the city with everything they can, he said. There is no way we can get there. There are thought to be between 4,000 to 4,500 people still in Bakhmut currently. Fighting is raging both in and around the city of Bakhmut. As Russian forces continuously gain advantages and some victories in this battlefield, it is reported that Ukraine is preparing to withdraw its troops from her. However, Serhiy Cherevatiy, a spokesman for the Ukrainian Army's Eastern Combat Groups, said over the weekend that the Ukrainian Army was just planned and controlled rotation of combat positions in Bakhmut. However, General Richard Dannett, a former top British military commander, said that the Ukrainian Army should retreat to an easier line of defense in Bakhmut. The general also affirmed that the city is not too important strategically for Ukraine. On the Russian side, if it wins Bakhmut, this will be a springboard to help them gain control of the entire Donbass region, one of the most important goals of the special military operation in Ukraine. Not only Bakhmut, many other towns and cities of the Donetsk region also witnessed fierce fighting. Recently, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine posted on Twitter on March 5 the images clearly depicting the horrors of war in this region. Ukraine's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has tweeted 2 haunting pictures of Marinka in the eastern Donetsk region of Ukraine. They appear to show the town has been decimated, razed to the ground, in the ministry's words. Drone footage filmed for the AP news agency has produced similar images. Marinka's police chief, Artem Shuz, has said his town is completely destroyed. Apart from soldiers, Marinka has been entirely evacuated because there is no way for the civilian population to live there. He added, they destroy everything because, with their tactics, they cannot defeat our troops and resort to the destruction of all living things. Russia has not commented on the images and statements above. Also on May 3, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky paid tribute to the soldiers who fought in the painful and difficult battle in the Donbass frontline area, in the east of the country. His comments came after Ukraine's general staff reported that Ukrainian forces had resisted more than 130 attacks by Russian forces the previous day, including in areas such as Kupiansk, Lyman, Bakhmut and Avdiivka. Ukraine's chief of staff said on May 3 that Russian troops were continuing to try to encircle Bakhmut. Speaking on May 3, Zelensky said, I want to pay tribute to the courage, strength of the soldiers fighting in the Donbass. This is one of the hardest battles. Zelensky said that the Ukrainian army carried out attacks, destroyed the bases of Russian forces, and also defended the borders and cities. But on April 3, the US-based Institute for the Study of War, ISW, issued a warning that Ukraine's international routes to Bakhmut were being withdrawn. The ISW added, Russia may have intended to encircle Ukrainian forces in Bakhmut, but the Ukrainian command has signaled that they may withdraw because it is too risky to be surrounded. Some other notable information about the Russia-Ukraine conflict. According to recent information from NBC News, Ukrainian pilots are currently being evaluated in the US to see how long it will take them to complete their training in the use of aircraft, including the use of fighter jets. F-16 fight, citing officials, the news agency said the pilot is being evaluated in Tucson, Arizona, and other pilots may be on their way. CNN also reported that Ukrainian pilots were present in Arizona to participate in training activities in the military exchange program between the US and Ukraine. According to a recent report from a US official, Ukrainian pilots are being trained to be able to fly fourth-generation F-16s in Arizona. The training event is intended to assist Ukrainian pilots in fighting more effectively as well as instruct them on how to develop their combat capabilities. However, the official added that there is no information about the supply of F-16s to Ukraine. Ukraine's government has long called on the West to send advanced fighter jets to replace the Soviet-era planes it operates, but so far, countries have refused this request. During a tour of Britain, France, and Belgium in February, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky reiterated his call for jet aid, calling them wings to freedom. During Mr. Zelensky's visit to London, the British government announced that the UK would expand the training of Ukrainian forces, specifically fighter pilots. According to the UK, this will help pilots to fly sophisticated fighters according to NATO standards in the future. During a joint press conference with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen on March 5, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said that the Chinese government had promised not to supply Russia with weapons. Speaking to reporters, Scholz said, "We all share the view that arms should not be given to Russia in this respect. The Chinese government has pledged that it will provide nothing. We have asked not to send weapons to Russia and are currently monitoring the situation." Earlier in the interview with CNN, Scholz warned that supplying arms to Russia would have consequences for Beijing. In February, U.S. Secretary of State Tony Blinken announced that China was considering arms and ammunition aid to Russia in its war with Ukraine. Pentagon spokesman Patrick Ryder also said the U.S. military had no evidence that Beijing provided arms to Moscow but confirmed that China was considering this option. In response, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning said that the Chinese regime will not tolerate U.S. threats and pressure created based on allegations of military support to Moscow. Recently, in an interview with SVT TV channel, Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó said that the measures that Europe is pursuing to resolve the conflict between Russia and Ukraine are not working, and affirmed that determined that the conflict could only end with a ceasefire. Minister Szijjártó said, "The first goal is to stop killing each other, which means we need nothing but a ceasefire between the two sides." According to Szijjártó, EU sanctions cannot prevent conflict. We have already introduced 10 sanctions packages, but will sanctions bring us closer to ending the conflict? The answer is no. Will it cause Russia to surrender? The answer is also no. But whether it harms Europe or not, the answer is yes. I think that solutions that we are trying to pursue in Europe right now are simply not working because we are so carried away with the mentality of war. When asked why Hungary did not provide weapons to Kiev, Szijjártó said, "We are a neighboring country to Ukraine and we do not want more deaths. This is why we are working to prevent that. We don't give weapons, we continue to support peace." Meanwhile, Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu said on the same day that Ankara is working hard to renew the grain initiative, which it brokers with the United Nations so that Ukraine's agricultural products are transported through the Black Sea. During the war, the agreement was renewed in November last year and will expire on March 18. Last year, Russia unilaterally suspended the agreement, saying that its export conditions were not met. At the Fifth Union Conference of Least Developed Countries in Qatar, Foreign Minister Cavusoglu said, "Turkey is trying to make shipping operations go smoothly and the grain initiative will be promoted." Further extension. Later on the same day, the Russian side said it agreed to extend the agreement if the interests of Russian agricultural products were concerned. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said, "If the deal is fair, we will come back and fulfill our obligations." Russia will also resist any provocation or conspiracies in the Black Sea. According to Reuters, Russian agricultural exports are not included in Western sanctions. However, Russia restricts payment methods, supply chains, and insurance. This has become a barrier for their own grain and fertilizer exports. The Turkish foreign minister said he discussed extending the agreement with United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. According to the Joint Coordination Center in Turkey, a total of 23 million tons of grain and agricultural products have been transported through the Black Sea so far. Thanks to this initiative, move on to other outstanding news from around the world. Recently, according to China's Global Times, member of the 14th National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference Yang Changli said that he, along with 14 other national political advisors, submitted a joint proposal during the committee session emphasizing the need for the construction of nuclear power plants in the inland China region. The 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China considers energy security an important part of the modernization of the national security system, proposes to promote the development of nuclear energy. Actively and cautiously. China has established a solid foundation for achieving larger goals and developing nuclear energy of higher quality, Wang said. The proposal states that it is necessary to plan and build nuclear power projects in areas where there is not enough capacity to ensure clean electricity supply to facilities, as well as to begin to reduce the intensity of carbon and waste emissions, excessive pollution. According to Yang, mainland China currently has 76 nuclear power units under construction, with an installed capacity of 81 million kilowatts. However, both the installed capacity of nuclear generators and the share of nuclear power are still small. To achieve the highest carbon neutrality, nuclear power installations need to reach at least 150 million kilowatts by 2030 and 380 million by 2050. That means China needs to maintain a higher development intensity, 10 nuclear power units per year for the next decade. Thailand's famous boxer Sombat Banchamek, widely known as Bwaka, gave Muay Thai lessons to U.S. soldiers in Lopburi on Sunday, March 5, participating in the Cobra Gold joint military drills. Thailand's top boxer, Sombat Banchamek, is responsible for teaching Muay Thai to American soldiers. Boxer nicknamed Bwaka, meaning White Lotus, shared with Reuters that for every U.S. soldier who came to train in Cobra Gold, they also want to exchange and study our culture regarding Muay Thai, which is our national art, said Bwaka. Adam Castle, a U.S. soldier, told Reuters, "It's been really great to learn some skills that we can take back and use in the future," he said. The joint military exercises kicked off on Tuesday, February 28, and will held until March 10, with a total of 7,394 personnel from 30 countries in this year's full-scale training. This is one of the largest multinational military exercises in the Asia-Pacific region, first held in 1982. Russian oil exports to India, the world's third-largest crude importer after China and the U.S., climbed to a record 1.62 million barrels per day, BPD, in February, The Hindu reported on Sunday, citing cargo tracker Vortexa. According to the report, Moscow's oil exports to the country surged 28% month-on-month from Iraq and Saudi Arabia. India's main suppliers for decades. Imports from Saudi Arabia dropped 16% month-on-month to 647,800 BPD, while deliveries from Iraq amounted to some 939,900 BPD. Russia now supplies 35% of all India's oil imports, a significant increase from its share of less than 1% of India's energy market in 2021. New Delhi began to boost purchases of Russian crude shortly after the start of Russia's military operation in Ukraine and the ensuing Western sanctions. Especially for the energy sector, the restrictions resulted in Russia losing its traditional oil buyers from the West, and forced the country to seek alternative markets for its energy. India has kept up its Russian oil purchases despite calls from the West to stop the imports. New Delhi has stressed that energy security is a top priority and it will continue to make its own choices on suppliers. A major fire which broke out at a Rohingya refugee camp in Bangladesh on Sunday, March 5, destroying several homes, is now under control, police officials told Reuters, adding that there were no casualties. The blaze hit Camp 11 in Cox's Bazar, a border district where more than 1 million Rohingya refugees live, a border district of Bangladesh bordering Myanmar. A social media video obtained from the Bangladesh Red Crescent Society shows plumes of smoke rising into the air. Farooq Ahmed, a local police official, 3,000 shelters have been damaged and one primary health center has been burned to the ground, said the cause of the fire was not clear. In 2017, millions of Rohingya fled Myanmar after a large-scale military-led crackdown. Most of them chose to flee to Bangladesh. Pope Francis on Sunday, March 5, called on authorities to stop human traffickers operating in the Mediterranean as he expressed his sorrow for last week's migrant boat disaster in which dozens of people were killed in southern Italy. The Pope said in his weekly address to crowds in St. Peter's Square, "I renew my appeal to prevent such tragedies from happening again. May traffickers of human beings be stopped. May journeys of hope never again turn into journeys of death. May the clear waters of the Mediterranean no longer be bloodied by such dramatic accidents," the Pope said. Around 80 people survived the wreck of the boat, which authorities estimated carried between 150 to 200 migrants. It broke up and sank in rough seas near Steccato di Cutro, a seaside resort on the Calabria region's eastern coast. The bodies of 70 people were found. 3 alleged traffickers were arrested this week. Italy has long been one of the main stops on the migrants' journey to Europe. This route across the Mediterranean is considered the most dangerous in the world. According to a report by the International Organization for Migration. Since 2014, more than 20,300 people have died or gone missing trying to cross the Mediterranean. Regarding the tragedy of 2 trains that collided in Greece, Recently, the Prime Minister of this country, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, made a public apology, looking forward to the families of 57 people killed in the incident as well as the family of 57 people killed in the incident. The people of the country forgive. In a post on social media over the weekend, Prime Minister Mitsotakis expressed, as an individual and longtime leader of the country, I owe it to all the people, especially the relatives of the victims, a deep apology. He also said, in Greece, in 2023, it is unthinkable for two trains to go against each other without anyone noticing. We cannot and must not hide that this is a human error. On the evening of February 28, a train carrying 350 passengers from the capital Athens to the northern city of Thessaloniki crashed into a freight train as it exited the tunnel in Larissa. 57 people were killed in a head-on collision. Most are students. The railway system in Greece has long been known to have many management problems. According to some sources, Hellenic Railways, the company responsible for the maintenance of Greece's railways, owes billions of euros. The recent tragedy has sparked a wave of protests across Greece, demanding that the government be held accountable. Some of the clashes between police and mobs broke out in cities such as Athens, Larissa or Thessaloniki. Greek rail service is also being delayed due to a strike by workers. On March 5, at the train station of the city of Larissa in southeastern Greece, the lawyer of the station chief said that his client was taken into custody due to problems related to the serious train tragedy recently. The station chief was detained on March 1, just hours after a train carrying 350 people collided with another freight train near the city of Larissa. The accident killed at least 57 people and injured many more. Currently, the head of the station is said to be facing a felony charge for disrupting transportation and putting lives at risk. Over the weekend, he appeared before the interrogation began. The stationmaster's lawyer Stefanos Patsartsidis said, as expected, he was taken into custody after undergoing questioning. The stationmaster told the truth. He really broke down. He said exactly what happened without fear that it would get him convicted. Whether the testimony makes him criminal or not, let's wait for justice to answer, the lawyer added. Last week, attorney Patsartsidis said his client will accept responsibility for the accident, but there are still many other factors that led to it. Railway unions in Greece have criticized the deterioration of the rail system. It is also the cause that puts both passengers and employees in danger. In Venezuela, many people on March 5 visited the grave of the late President Hugo Chavez, marking the 10th anniversary of the former leader's death. The information was recorded by a Reuters reporter. The mausoleum is located in the mountain barracks in Caracas, which Chavez used as his headquarters during a failed coup attempt in 1992. Mourners carried photographs of Chavez, signs and other paraphernalia as they queued outside the mausoleum. Chavez had planted himself in the hearts of the Venezuelans, said tearful local Fatima Gutierrez. Among the visitors was Bolivian President Luis Arce, who said that the former Venezuelan president had always supported the Bolivian people. The larger-than-life president died of cancer in 2013. He ruled Venezuela during 14 years, during which he led the nation through electoral victories, constitutional changes and hardline confrontations with the United States. After a 13-year hiatus, the Libyan Equestrian Club resumed its championships in the hopes of attracting international participation to bring the popular sport back to its former glory. Some 200 Libyan horse riders as well as a participant from Tunisia competed in the championship that took place in Tripoli on March 3 and 4. The last similar event was held in 2009 before the civil war and unrest broke out, before the equestrian club located on Tripoli's airport road became a battlefield and one of the areas that witnessed frequent violent clashes. Today, with relative calm in the area, the club officials are hoping to redraw attention to the sport. Head of the preparatory committee for the Libyan show jumping equestrian championship, Al-Sanusi Asweb, said, "We are now through this tournament sending a message to the world that Libya is safe, and that equestrianism is still in place, using only tin cans." Mexican scouts formed a fleur-de-lis more than 90 meters long in Mexico City's famous Zocalo on Sunday, March 5, to promote recycling. Scouts from all over the country gathered in the capital brought cans to commemorate 96 years of the Scout Association in Mexico. After the giant flower was assembled, the youths ran towards the cans stumping them so they could be recycled. The money raised by the Scouts through this action will be donated to government orphanages and to victims of the earthquakes in Syria and Turkey, said the head of the organization in Mexico Pedro Diaz-Maya. Over the weekend, the Mexican night sky lit up with colorful and brilliant fireworks displays. The activity is part of an annual fireworks festival held for a week in Toltepeca municipality near Mexico City, to honor its patron saint, San Juan de Dios. According to legend, this is the person who saved the patients from a burning hospital, and the special images of this event will replace our conclusion in today's program.